their attempt to try to court, I guess you could say more masculine, obviously being male voters, especially white males, they figured it would be a good idea to send Tim Walz out there to, how do I say, try to appeal to voters by holding a shotgun and claim that he's pheasant hunting, when obviously when you take a look at this photo here, or this little video is playing the B-roll footage, you can see this man is obviously struggling with that shotgun, obviously struggling to load it. And somehow or another, they think that people just will not pick up on this. By the way, when it comes to Tim Walz and masculinity, I'm pretty sure that when people see this here, which most people already have seen it, I'm pretty sure they're automatically going to conclude that this man is not the most masculine fellow in the world.
Who were concerned that there was an uptick in some bullying towards our gay and lesbian students. And this is in the mid-90s. They asked if I would be interested in helping start a gay-straight alliance group. My answer was absolutely. And I recognized my responsibility in that. You have an older, white, straight man.
It also opened him up for, quite frankly, one of the best digs that I've seen on the internet the past few days.
Guys, JD Vance here, playing a little buck hunter before a rally in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, also known as the closest Tim Walz has ever gotten to real combat. Have fun out there.
So, what are we talking about, guys? We're talking about the Democratic Party's masculinity issue. Now, real quick. This way was supposed to be a long take, primarily focusing on men as a whole. However, I've decided to chop this right here up into two takes, meaning that this take right here will obviously come out right around lunch tomorrow, and take number two will be focused more on black men, and of course that will also be focused heavily on the comments that Obama made about black men not being excited to vote for Kamala Harris, or basically choosing Donald Trump, which is of course what they should have done. But this video right here is to talk more about masculinity as a whole, as far as what the Democrats are not getting about it. And of course, you probably caught at the very, very beginning that some of this is obviously going to feature a segment from the Bill Maher show. So make sure you guys stick around for the full bit, because we've obviously got a lot to get into. So what has been going on with the Kamala Harris campaign? Why are they struggling so much? And by the way, there's also this Axios piece, and a few people have already jumped on this. I'm going to give it a shot on Tuesday, but apparently the Harris campaign and the Biden aides are not exactly getting along, something that I had a feeling was going to happen, but of course I did not predict. I predicted something else, which of course I'll probably give you guys a bit of an idea of what that is towards the end of the video, so make sure you guys stick around. Also, one more thing too, make sure you guys also go ahead and hit the like button, so that way the video will take off up the algorithm. Also, if you guys can, go ahead and cut your notifications on, so that way you guys are notified when the video comes out, or my videos do come out, so that way we can kind of beat this censorship that's going on. With that right there out of the way, now let us go ahead and get to this. So this bit with Tim Walz, of course, that you guys saw earlier in the B-roll footage and you guys are seeing again, obviously is not going over very well with males, especially online, especially white males, especially males who hunt. But also something else too, it looks like there may be a shoe to drop on this that somebody called the Black Insurrectionist posted. I'm just going to kind of like leave this up here in the B-roll footage. If something happens, we'll obviously talk about it, but it seems like another little scandal is about to break the internet here real soon involving Walz, but I don't want to I don't want to jump on that right yet. Tim Walz, pheasant hunting, not having a rifle, not having a gun, and then finally when he does get a gun, he has a hard time loading it, and of course people post what you guys are seeing here, the girl loading her shotgun up. And now look, I understand some people, you know, you get old, your fingers get a little bit frail, but it's not hard to load a shotgun. Now, I typically tend to take the high position where I kind of peel it up and just, I kind of do it from a much higher angle. Some people choose to do it up front, which I don't really agree with that. But still, though, it's not exactly something that's going over very well. And then, for whatever reason, the Harris campaign chose to release this very, very cringeworthy ad that's been getting panned by men and women both.
Man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Meat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one.
I'm just going to link this video right here from Sean Fitzgerald in the description box because he did a very, very good breakdown of the ad. And let's just say that I'm not as ballsy as him when it comes to certain little things, subliminal messages. I mean, yes, I obviously get some of the references like the bear hug thing, which of course that right there may take another video down the road. But I'm just going to link Sean's video in the description box to give you guys a better explanation of that. Things aren't exactly going very well. And obviously these people think that guys like Tim Walz are their form of masculinity, their model of masculinity. Of course, this also does, in fact, include Kamala Harris's husband, Douglas Emhoff, who it recently just came out recently that, let's just say that Doug is a little bit fisty when it comes to women. He chose to put his hands on a girl that he was seeing at one time. Daily Mail article will be linked in the description box. Also, the backup articles to that because it's been reported by several news outlets. And, of course, he gave this cringy bit to Joe Scarborough at MSNBC, another beta male.
About you, saying that tabloid stories about your personal life, saying it should be front and center. He's saying it about your wife and making incredibly crude and lewd suggestions about her past life. I'm just curious. I know I seem like a very zen, mindful person, but I think I'd be pissed off. And I'm just wondering, how do you all stay centered? How do you stay disciplined and not really go off and not really push back hard at these things?
We don't have time to be pissed off. We don't have time to focus on it. It's all a distraction. It's designed to try to get us off our game.
Does it get you off your game?
No. All we are doing, all we talk about is this election. We understand the stakes. We understand the responsibility.
What are
we
the
understand
stakes?
the account.
What are the stakes?
Our very country, our future. What kind of future are we going to have?
So you beat this woman and it's just a distraction. You're not going to give any further clarification. Not even going to apologize for it. Seems to me like these people are used to not having to be held accountable. That is the reason why it is they don't apologize for things that they frankly probably should apologize for. I understand the online world is a phrase that means no apologies. I get that. But if it's something like assaulting a woman in your past or something like that, then maybe you should probably give a bit of an explanation on how you changed since. But of course, these people don't believe in accountability, and they know that the mainstream media is going to cover for them. Hence, like Tim Walz, of course, who's being covered for in a lot of ways, including Stolen Valor. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys kind of pick up on this, that this form of masculinity is not exactly a form of masculinity that's going to go over very well. But there is one more thing that I do want to mention about Emhoff. It doesn't also help to know that this guy got the nanny pregnant and then forced her to have an abortion afterwards. Not exactly a stellar form of masculinity here, guys. So why are the Democrats, why is Kamala Harris having a hard time with male voters? Well, you guys obviously saw it. You guys obviously saw it with the cringeworthy ad. You guys obviously saw it with Doug Emhoff, of all people, and Tim Walz. I don't think I need to go too much further on that. But I think Buck Sexton did a very good job of explaining this, especially when it comes to the whole feminist angle. But before we get to that, I want to go ahead and say something right now. When you have spent the better part of the last 10 years, 15 years, basically pushing an effeminate agenda, a feminist agenda, and attacking men at the outset every chance you get to say that they are the problem, say you are the problem, I find it very hard to believe that men are going to trust you. It seems to me like what's going to happen is that men are just going to withdraw attention from you altogether. Well, why might that be the case? Well, if you constantly attack them over and over again, eventually people are going to walk away from you. It's like being around a rabid dog. Obviously, you're going to want to get the hell away from that thing. And that right there is what the left of this country looks like at this moment in time, a rabid dog, a rabid feminine dog. Basically, at this moment in time, the Democrats are saying, we're going to make up for this by giving you an extremely effeminate vice president who has lied about everything in his past. And then to go on top of that, we're going to throw cringeworthy ads out there of men saying it takes a real man to vote for a woman. And I don't think I really need to go too much further on that angle there. I'm pretty sure if I do, I'm probably going to get in trouble. But still, at the same time, though, it looks pretty daggone bad. The lack of respect for men has been intensifying more and more and more for the last 10 to 20 years. Look, people are going to look at what's going on now as far as like, well, this crap started under Biden. It started under Trump when they started demonizing men. It's actually been going on since the early 2000s. I should probably make a video on that, but of course it's going to require it to be a video essay. But still, though, there's been an assault on men really for years. And you could even argue that it goes all the way back to the end of World War II. You could even argue that there. But still, at the same time, though, it looks to me like more and more and more that that men are straight up walking away from the Democratic Party or Democratic Party nominees, and they definitely don't want a woman in charge. An incompetent one who obviously went horizontal to go vertical, but we'll discuss that a little bit further in my follow-up video, which will be focusing primarily on black men. So what exactly has been discussed here recently? What, of course, has been said that, of course, is getting all the attention at this moment in time? It comes down to one thing and one thing only. The current Democratic Party demonizes the literal hell out of success. But I did say I was going to talk a little bit about this segment from Buck Sexton and Bill Maher, where this entire segment, this entire bit on masculinity did in fact get discussed. So let's go ahead and get to that.
Working class voters who are men in particular, but white working class male voters in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. Sorry, bro, the progress means that no one can speak for you and no one can be in favor of your interests.
But aren't working class people also people
who are going to be
color?
confused.
It's why is it just men? Women are working class as well, you realize.
No, of course, but we're speaking about masculinity and why, right, the topic at hand is why.
It doesn't help your case when you're interrupting a man when he's talking. It just does not it doesn't help your case. It's also not just a rejection of Kamala Harris. You see, we view Kamala Harris as a representation not only of the party, but the entire left-wing movement, and it being an extremely effeminate movement. And also something else, too, looking at that woman's past and everything that she's done to get where she's at, of course, not using any talent, but not the talent you would normally use to succeed at work. I think it's pretty daggone obvious that men view this and view anybody who's interrupting them when clearly there needs to be some form of respect given. I think there's also a rejection of that too, but let's keep going.
Why is it that the Republican Party is the party of guys who are, that talk about masculinity in traditional terms, that speak about courage, that speak about getting after it, that speak about taking risks, and the Democrats are announce your pronouns, let's have boys pretend they're girls in the locker rooms, let's put tampons in the this is just reality. They call him, what's his name?
I mean, those things happen. They don't happen everywhere.
Well, but they happen in enough places that the Democrat Party won't condemn it, and so you ask why? Why are they okay with all of this?
Why is courage only a masculine quality?
These are... And see, here we go. It's not that it can't be a feminine quality as well, but then you get into this, what is the definition of masculinity that can be positive, that doesn't upset the feminists? There's nothing, you say, risk-taking, greater tolerance.
I really love how it is that he's basically told you that he'd been in the CIA and that he had done, he'd basically been in harm's way. I also love to see how it is that the crowd just starts cheering when that woman interrupts. I love seeing that. It's almost like it's a trend with a certain type of person or a certain audience out there that, quite frankly, basically what I'm trying to say is this right here. The left in this country does not appeal to men, okay? It's true that a lot of men, soy boys, whatever, and some men who claim to be masculine voted for Joe Biden in 2020, but of course, they did that primarily because of the COVID, and they did that because they were trying to get back to work. And of course, there were some people who thought that Biden was just going to continue to give out unemployment checks, so they figured they'd go ahead and sit back home and take it. You could collect them. That's not exactly a masculine feature, but still, though, there's not a whole lot that men can do nowadays that women will not counter by calling it toxic. Now, I'm not saying all women, not all ladies out there, which, by the way, weaves into another theory that I'll get to at the very end of the video. The point is this right here. They demonize masculinity. When you demonize masculinity, when you demonize a man basically being a man or doing manly things, after a while, don't be surprised that these men don't entirely reject what you're spilling, what you're preaching. You shouldn't be surprised at all. But of course, this is the Democratic Party, the mainstream media, and the left in this country, so obviously they're surprised when anybody disagrees with them. There's also something else, too, that's been demonized as well. Now, bear with me on this next segment because it's going to start with somebody talking about somebody whining, that there being Bill Maher talking about the orange guy because Bill Maher has got Trump derangement syndrome. And of course, it's also going to end with, let's just say, a conversation about success.
Who's just never shuts up under 2 pounds of bronzer and always complaining and whining. Why do you see this as an epitome of masculinity, and is it good if it is?
I think that the gender issue that Democrats have is much broader than Donald Trump specifically. I mean, Trump also, there's the narrative, he's a billionaire who's married to a supermodel, who's become president on the first try, who, I mean, look, people can say whatever they want about it, but there is that component of an alpha male who's ultra successful and is probably about to become leader of the free world again. But to the issue of where Democrats are on this, I mean, I don't think you would be able to get many Democrats, elected Democrats, for example, to come on, I don't know if any of them honestly would, to come on this show and say, I don't think that a 18-year-old who identifies as a woman should be able to play on.
Let me go ahead and answer to Bill talking about Donald Trump whining. The Democrats and the left, the liberals, have been whining literally every day since January 2009. I say that because the topic of video number 2 is going to be Barack Hussein Obama. And every day that Obama was in the White House, he literally whined. He literally got upset and complained about the fact that there was a prescription drug plan that wasn't paid for. The economy, which by the way was really bad under Bush, especially when he left the Oval Office. Obama came in and made everything a lot worse. By the way, Obama tried to take credit for Trump's economy last weekend, so don't get me started on that there. Look, most effeminate president in American history, Barack Hussein Obama, all he did was whine about it. And of course, Bill Maher obviously loved the whiner. He hated it when Donald Trump called out what happened 4 years ago, which, by the way, we're still not allowed to really talk about on this platform, even though they say that they've laxed the rules on that. I'm pretty sure you guys can kind of understand where we're going at with this. They love to censor that of which they disagree with. And also, the fact is that they love to accuse you of that of which they are guilty of. The Democrats, the left as a whole, have been basically whiners since 2009. They whined every day that Obama was in office. Obama, of course, being the chief whiner, of course, complaining about the situation that he had inherited, which, of course, he made 10 times worse. As I said before, these very people who will make a situation way worse, put a Band-Aid on it and claim they fixed it when obviously they didn't fix it. These people are whiners. That's another reason why it is that men don't exactly view these people as masculine themselves. They say, look, we don't want to be controlled by a bunch of preachy, feminine males. Or preachy women, of course, whatever you might want to use. I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything. I'm just simply telling you that right now the current Democratic Party is not exactly a masculine party. They hate masculinity and they attack it every chance they get. And that's another reason why it is that men are walking away from that party and considering Donald Trump, which brings me to the next point. Success. Success is actually an alpha trait. Now, a lot of people love to point at Trump and say that he's a failed businessman, all kinds of BS. But, dude, this guy's not failed at anything. Of course, he has some bankruptcies, which all businessmen do. But ever since the 1970s, he's created billions of dollars in wealth. Look at all the skyscrapers in New York. Look at all the hotels across the country. I mean, all you got to do is look at some of the places that have been built, like, say, for example, the golf course in Scotland. The man is a success story. He's an American success story, and he's got a supermodel wife on his arm. Don't worry, we'll talk about the baby mama stuff in the next video. But, of course, their view of masculinity, what they're trying to prop up as masculinity, is an extremely effeminate former high school teacher, principal, who put tampons in the boys' bathroom, who allowed the city of Minneapolis to burn, and, of course, a wife beater in Doug Emhoff. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that men are walking away because they obviously view the current Democratic Party as non-masculine. But I did tell you guys that there was going to be a little theory, and here's my theory. I think that they prop up these effeminate beta male types like what you saw in that ad earlier and what you see in Tim Walz because they want to try to... This right here is going to be very, very weird the way I try to explain it. I've been saying for a while that I think that the Democrats aren't really struggling as much as they say they are with men because, quite frankly, you can't struggle any further because men were going to vote for Donald Trump. And after they decided to attack men at every avenue, obviously more and more men were going to support the Republican nominee. I think what's really going on here is that they're actually struggling with women. My theory is that they put these soft beta males out there saying that they're going to vote for a woman because it makes these women think that, okay, maybe men are compliant, which, of course, all these men in these ads are just paid actors. They think that women like a man who's completely compliant is what I think it is, and they think that that right there is going to obviously increase their womanship. It's not really ads directed at men. Men are just going to laugh at this like I did. The ads are designed to go after women. However, the problem with that is this right here. And I've been saying, just go be a fly on the wall at any beauty salon, and you'll see that abortion is actually talked about negatively, and the women who constantly sleep around are talked about negatively. Women care about their paychecks too, and there's something else too that women do not like, that is an effeminate male. They prefer their men to be masculine. Also, as in leadership as well. Let me put it this way here. Men were built a certain way. Men were obviously built to obviously work much, much tougher, much, much rougher jobs. Buck even mentioned something about that earlier. But men were also designed to do what else? Protect the young, shield the woman. That was what they were designed to do. So if you wonder why it is that a lot of women end up with guys who were a jerk, it may be because that guy being a jerk at that moment in time or being a jerk to them sends a signal in the back of their brain somewhere that says that right there might be able to protect me. I'm not trying to say that all women go for jerks. I'm saying that women go for much, much more masculine men. You can be a relatively nice guy, yet also be masculine and still get women. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard the whole phrase, nice guys finish last. That is true. but it's nice guys who are not masculine that finish last, whereas cool dudes that are actually relatively masculine and also have boundaries, they typically tend to do the best, okay? Just simply saying this. Basically, the point of this entire situation is to try to make these men look compliant so that way women may, it increases their woman vote. Oh, the man, he's loving the idea of woman being in charge. Oh, he's loving the fact of voting for a woman president, when in reality, the women who see this ad just bust out laughing and say, this is the cringiest crap I've ever seen, because women at the end of the day are going to choose the much, much more masculine figure, the actual leader. And Kamala Harris does not exactly look like a leader, and Tim Walz is actually making it look a lot worse. And also the fact that she married a wife beater is not going to help either. But you guys, please tell me what you think in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys have got to say. Make sure you guys please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.